Hey everyone, this is the Cyber Tutor, and today we are going over PortSwigger Academy's Web Security Academy. And we're starting with the first module, so this is server-side vulnerabilities, which is what they recommend that you start with if you want to begin the web vulnerability course that they have on here, which is filled with many, many modules, but we're going to start with the easiest one first. So I want to talk quickly about this course that I'm doing. So I want to do a Web Security Academy course, but I want to do it in a way where it's very casual, where the audience can kind of follow along with me at more of a casual speed. So I'm just recording this straight out, no editing, no nothing. It's just me going and rambling. You may hear noises in the background, etc. So, and the reason I want to do this is because I want to kind of explain more about why and how these specific vulnerabilities work. So, for example, here you have Path Traversal, and if you may know what this is, you may not know exactly why it works the way that it does on the back end. And so for that reason, I wanted to go more in depth about each of these specific vulns. So hopefully at the end of the course, the viewer can have not just an understanding of how to exploit these vulnerabilities, but also why and how they work the way that they do to get a better understanding of a web server in general. So I'll just begin with this. So what is Path Traversal? Path Traversal is also known as directory traversal. These vulnerabilities enable an attacker to read arbitrary files on the server that is running an application. This might include application code and data, credentials for backend systems, sensitive operating system files. So stuff that we're not supposed to see as someone who's just using the website. In some cases, an attacker might be able to write to arbitrary files on the server, to arbitrary files, which would be really bad, allowing them to modify application data or behavior and ultimately take full control of the server, which is the worst nightmare of any server admin. So, this is a lot of stuff here. I won't read every single thing on this page, but I feel like we should kind of go over the gist of it. So, when you have a server, right, and you want to get a file, you're essentially looking through a file system because that server is running on a operating system. So that operating system might be Linux, for example, and oftentimes is Linux based. So here you see, if you want to get an image, you specify the source. You say, okay, I'm in the file system here, indicated by this slash, and I want to load an image. Okay, so you're kind of also giving it a command, and you want specifically 218.png. So you're telling the server, okay, execute this function and then give me this file, 218.png, with this file name. So what it's going to do is it's going to look for this where the images are stored. So in this case on the server, that would be in the file system var www images. So to return an image, the application appends the requested file name to use this base directory, blah, blah, blah. Basically, what that means is it's just taking this file name, sticking it on the end of the directory location, and then it tells the server, okay, pull this out. So, and then the server's like, great. And then it sends it back to you. So you might notice that this looks familiar, right? So when you have a file system, you're in a directory, which begins with a slash. So in this case, I am in the Cyber Tutor directory on my machine. And so when you want to go somewhere, let's see, I'll make a directory called LOL. Okay, so then I have LOL. So if I want to go to LOL, now I'm in /cybertutor/LOL. So if I want to go back in the directory, I would do ... right? That'll take me back to the cyber tutor. And so on and so forth. So this would look familiar to you, correct? Right here. So what this is telling the directory to do is to basically go backwards to the very, very beginning of the file system and then look for something else. And so if we do that and we don't have effective permissions on that, we can basically get whatever we want. So in this case, they also show you a Windows version of this. So if you've got Windows running, you could get the win.ini file or anything you want. Okay, so now we have a lab. So this is File Path Traversal Simple Case. This lab contains a Path Traversal vuln and the display of product images. To solve the lab, retrieve the contents of the etc password file. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to find a location on this server where we can basically give it those ... commands and get it to go all the way back to the root of the file system and then look for something random that we want. In case this would be in this case, this would be etc password. So let's access this and see what we can do. Okay, so we are here with this very interesting selection of images on this e-commerce website. I'm not gonna bother describing any of these because my words cannot do it justice, but so if we just go and we look at different things, like some items, let's just check the first one. Giant pillow thing, because why not? We see here we have a product ID. So we could try maybe doing this to see if it does anything. But the thing is I don't know if this is gonna work because it's asking for a product ID, which is probably a number value. So I don't think it's gonna be looking through the file system. So let's see. Right, okay. Invalid product ID. So that's kind of tells me that you can't really just look for a file in this parameter. So sometimes the names you want to take a note of. If it says file name equals, it's probably, you can probably look for a file. But if it says something like ID number or something like that, it's probably asking for a number. So let's just try like 4, see what it does. Okay, cool. So the numbers work. So it'll let us give it an integer, which is a number, but it won't look for a file. So we have to find some other pathway. So one of them might be opening the image. Okay, perfect. So now we have the file name parameter here. So the file name parameter is looking for a file on that system. So that's probably going to var www images or something like that, and then appending 30.jpg to that directory pathway and retrieving it. So if we do, let's see, .. just for one more for good measure, and then let's tell it to go to etc password. Oh, interesting. So it did give us something, but it gave us this really small little broken image thing. So that's not really gonna help, right? So it might be better to look at this inside of Burp Suite, where we can get the raw text from the response. Or you can alternatively look at it in DevTools, but I like to look at my requests in Burp because I feel like it's easier. So let's go to the history here. We got a lot of random stuff going on. Random stuff. Okay, whoa. So this has been proxying a lot of my traffic, and it's really okay. Well, let's see. What the heck? That's gonna take me a while to find. So, where is it? There we go. Oh, it's all the way at the top. Okay. Okay, there we go. Aha! Bingo! So this is the request that we sent, and see, this is the file that was given to us. But you wouldn't necessarily guess that by this response. And the reason for that is because the browser is expecting a picture. And we're not asking for a picture, we're asking for a text file. So the response is still there, but the browser, because it's got this parameter, and the original parameter is 30.jpg, so that means the browser and the server are expecting a JPEG, but we did not ask for a JPEG. And that's it for the first one.